Chapter 14, Tiffany's Furnace and Thoreau's Fire. Let's keep digging. This chapter opens the door to reflections on creation, destruction, art, and nature through the twin lenses of Louis Comfort Tiffany and Henry David Thoreau. Failures, repeated failures, are finger posts on the road to achievement. One fails forward toward success. C.S. Lewis. I think and think for months and years. 99 times the conclusion is false. The 100th time I am right. Albert Einstein. These quotes set the tone. Trial and error, beauty born from failure, and persistence. We begin with Tiffany's artistic process, a molten alchemy of glass, metals, and rare minerals, and transition into Thoreau's philosophy of nature and fire. There's a sense that failure itself is a spark, the ignition that can either consume or illuminate. Standout phrases from the text. Fabric and stitch 27 exhibitions before the age of 21. Unwind the riddle, short leap, orange and yellow cracking. Similar flowers, the wind lifted a spark. Dropped it upon a sun-parched blade. Every phrase suggests transformation, like cloth into fashion or glass into art. But we also see fragility, fire, dried grass, cracking. The Discord deep dive begins Thoreau's hike on Mount Greylock. Some Discord users pointed out that Thoreau hiked Mount Greylock, which is located on the Appalachian Trail. He also wrote extensively about Walden Pond, where he referenced bees and flowers. In this chapter, his symbolic fire is juxtaposed with Tiffany's furnace, blending wild nature and human refinement. A matchbook in 1844? JCB writes that Thoreau used a matchbook in 1844, but matchbooks weren't patented until 1889. So why mention one here? Is this an error or another planted clue, like the Ferdinand's seventh reference earlier in the book? Could it imply that this paragraph was intentionally anachronistic to point to something else? Missing paragraph? Some readers flagged a missing or altered Thoreau passage. Upon inspection, the excerpt from September 7, 1851 seems correct, but the suspicion lingers. Is there a veiled gap? Hidden sentence? Word choice mystery. Talisman. JCB calls Thoreau a talisman proponent of nature. That's an unusual phrasing, since a talisman is usually an object, not a person. Is JCB pointing to symbolic guardianship? Or is it a callback to Thoreau's odd use of the word in his own journals, e.g. calling squash or Pond's talismans? Louis Tiffany and the Gold Luster Alchemy. JCB shares Tiffany's secret recipe. Mix 12 ounces silver nitrate, 4 ounces uranium, 4 ounces manganese, 4 ounces arsenic, 12 ounces potash nitrate. Add to 100 pounds of molten glass. Combine with chemistry, artistry, and secrecy. This recipe mirrors the treasure hunt itself. It's not just art, it's science, ritual, and intention. Discord users also connected this to Tiffany and Company and the discovery of sapphires in Montana, which brings us to Montana Sapphire Connection. In the 1860s, sapphire-rich gravel-clogged gold sluices in Montana. Prospectors tossed the bluestones aside. That changed in 1895, when a man named Ed Sapphire Collins sent samples to Tiffany's jewelers, who called them sapphires of unusual quality. Wait, did you say Collins? Is that just coincidence? Or another wink from John Collins Black? Montana and North Carolina are the top sapphire mining states in the U.S., giving us another possible east-west alignment clue. Symbolism of fire. Is the fire literal or metaphorical? Thoreau's fire may represent the spark of insight or destruction that leads to clarity. Tiffany's furnace was the crucible of transformation, turning base minerals into gold-like iridescence. JCB's narrative suggests that failure is fuel, that beauty can arise from chaos, that seeking, even when unsuccessful, yields growth. One Discord hunter put it well. Thoreau justified the fire. Maybe he was right. Bees, flowers, and hunting for honey. The closing paragraph evokes bees, how to extract its honey from the flower of the world. I am like a bee searching the livelong day for the sweets of nature. This poetic sequence is Thoreau's metaphor for living deliberately, but it's also a perfect analogy for treasure hunting. The treasure is the nectar, the world is the flower. We are the bees, buzzing from one clue to the next. Could the mention of bees tie back to other buzzing references in the book? Or to regions known for honey, pollination, or beekeeping? Christchurch stained glass and the iris clue. Some online hunters noted the Christchurch stained glass windows, possibly Tiffany's, depicting irises. This flower returns in various AI-generated images across the book. The iris might symbolize vision, the eye, spring, timing, delicacy, fragility. Could a specific Christchurch be a final clue location? Chapter 14 blends history, myth, art, science, and philosophy into one glowing crucible. The fire burns in many directions, backward to Thoreau's Concord, forward to Tiffany's gallery, inward to the reader's spark. Expanding the frame, the globe, the vase, and Grand Central. Let's talk about page 123. The word flowers jumps off the page again, paired with this evocative passage. People travel from across the globe, just as they have for over 250 years, some even at the risk of their lives, for the opportunity to take part in the celebrated treasure hunt we call the American dream. Why emphasize the word globe? A snow globe? A spinning world map? A nod to something spherical? 250 years ago takes us to 1775, a foundational date in American history. Is this just poetic or a time-stamped nudge? Following that, JCB tells us, Americans love winners. Placed right after the Michael Jordan chapter, this feels intentional. He continues with reflections on failure, describing a school for glass art and the broken shards filling the waste bins, another metaphor for learning through trial. Then we're shown the Tiffany glass iris vase, page 125, an original from 1900, rare and one of a kind. Clearly visible is the number 47 in the LCT initials. The Metropolitan Museum of Art is also referenced, an NYC landmark. So let's connect the dots. Back in chapter 10, we were told how Jackie Kennedy saved Grand Central Terminal. And what's inside Grand Central? The world's largest Tiffany clock. This stained glass wonder sits below the statue Transportation on the terminal's 42nd Street facade. Though unconfirmed by Tiffany and Company, some sources still claim it as theirs. It's 13 feet in diameter beneath a sculpture that took 7 years to install. Is this a hidden callback? A merging of clues across chapters? Could this be more than trivia? The reference to 47 on the vase, the Tiffany brand, and the preservation of Grand Central may all point toward timing, legacy, and sight. Paris, 1900, and the color trail of irises. We see another reference to Paris in the year 1900, the only year mentioned explicitly in this chapter. On page 127, we're told that Tiffany glass ceased production in 1933, but is now more valuable than ever. That date, 1900, anchors us in a time when both Art Nouveau and world exhibitions shaped global aesthetics. JCB reflects on nature as Tiffany's primary muse. As he looks at the blue and pink irises on the vase, he writes, I can't help but think of the resting places of the boxes I've hidden and the colors of nature that surrounds each. Perhaps you'll pass by similar flowers along your way. This feels like a major clue. Could each box be color-coded by region? Are we meant to pass real irises growing in nature en route to the treasure? There are 28 iris species native to the U.S., with a concentration in the southeastern U.S. Iris virginica, Iris versicolor, southern blue flag, the Pacific coast, California to Washington. Could these flower habitats serve as regional breadcrumbs? More online theories. Is the lion's share in New York? One theory gaining traction online is that the lion's share of this hunt, perhaps even a box, resides in New York, the Big Apple home to MoMA, where Picasso's wife Jacqueline attended a retrospective, where Henry David Thoreau visited the Emerson family on Staten Island, where Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis helped create the Egyptian temple at the Met, a place Amelia Earhart visited family, the site of Andrew Carnegie's mansion, the city where George Washington was sworn in as president, and home to Louis Comfort Tiffany, who was born and raised here, along with Charles Louis Tiffany, founder of Tiffany and Company. Even Muhammad Ali, then Cassius Clay, had major moments in New York. One online hunter noted, "Can you name anybody from part one of the book not from New York in some fashion?" Even if boxes lie elsewhere, New York keeps resurfacing. Could one of the city's parks, or museums, or flower-filled churches hold more than meets the eye? Others argue Massachusetts is the stronger lead. Walden Pond, the Concord Amble, Thoreau's own reflections. There's no shortage of clues there either. Whether your trail runs east or west, forest or fountain, church or gallery, remember the theme. There's treasure inside. Once again, this book isn't just prose, it's a puzzle. And the deeper we go, the more we realize how carefully crafted each detail may be. Right away, let's talk about the two Thoreau journal pages. Unlike the Tiffany vase, which is labeled with clear precision and told to be in our treasure, the Thoreau page lacks that same specificity. Yes, on page 129, we are told, our treasure contains two original pages from Henry David Thoreau's journal. But here's the key. Jean never confirms whether the image shown is one of them. Why? It might be deliberate. If the actual journal pages are removed from their frames, either for preservation, authentication, or packing, they could still be tucked neatly into one of the treasure boxes. This ambiguity opens the door for interpretation and for strategy. Online researchers have tracked down the exact dates quoted. Page 129 is from September 7th, 1851. Page 130 is from September 5th, 1851. 1851. The pages themselves are rich with poetic language. Bees, sweetness, flowers, nature. We are told he journaled for 24 years, writing millions of words across thousands of pages. And wouldn't you know it, page 129 also includes this line, he would journal for 24 years. Could the number 24 be another key? Now here's something one reader noticed. On page 128, the image looks off. What if you turn it upside down? Some believe it reveals mountain ridges or even an underground root structure. Terrain-based imagery that might only become useful if you're already zoomed in on a search area. And remember that clue from Joy's Serenade? Go down in order to know how high you ever want to be. Maybe we're not just climbing metaphorical mountains. Maybe one of these boxes is hidden in a ridge, out of sight, down below. Now back to bees. Thoreau loved bees. In Walden, especially the Sounds chapter, he talks about their hum as part of the natural rhythm around his cabin. On page 123, there's a small text detail in the bottom left corner. Beehive. We also see the return of the finger theme, referencing finger posts on the road to achievement. And in one image, we even see arrows pointing down. 3 of them. Maybe it's as simple as look down, or maybe it's about a physical low point, a depression, ravine, or secret ledge. Let's revisit the fire. Some readers caught that Thoreau supposedly used a matchbook to start a fire. But matchbooks weren't invented until the 1880s, decades after the event. So why mention one? It could be a historical slip, or it could be a breadcrumb. Just like the airplane with an extra wheel, or the anachronistic quotes earlier in the book, this might be one of John's deliberate wrinkles in time meant to get us asking questions. Could it also tie back to the forest fire image shown in the book? Multiple users have pointed out arrows in the upper left of that image. Again, all pointing downward. And finally, commas and zeros. On page 132, we're told, commas and zeros. Maybe John's nudging us to revisit the scale of things. Thoreau wrote several thousand pages and over 2 million words. What if we're meant to separate those by moving commas? Reformatting the numbers. Could that translate into coordinates? Or maybe it's a hint that the real answers, like nature itself, are hidden in plain sight, layered in the punctuation, carved into the way the numbers are written. This is the Thoreau fire, a spark, a journal, a root, a bee, a glass fragment, a hidden arrow, a number with no comma, a question without an answer, yet. Stay tuned. because the fire is still burning, and we're not done piecing together this trail. Would you like the next section to explore how Thoreau's belief in joy through simplicity ties to the poem at the back of the book? Or dive into the talisman and flute references next?